Welcome everyone as you're joining. We'll start in a minute. We're just going to let people join the webinar and then we'll get started. We've got some great things planned for today. Welcome. While we're waiting for people to join, I'll just do a quick congratulations to all of our We50 winners this year. In case you missed it, we announced them over social media yesterday, which was actually International Women in Engineering Day. If you did miss it, go back and have a look, connect with these women because they are leading the way. I'm sure they'll be perfectly fine with you contacting them and creating an amazing network through the We50 winners. So well done to everyone on this year's list. Do check it out, everyone, if you haven't already. Okay, so we'll get started, I think, and then hopefully people will continue to join. As Candy mentioned, hopefully there won't be any technical issues. Normally the technical issues are me, so apologies in advance if I press anything I shouldn't. But if we do run into technical issues, what we'll do with our speakers is we'll record their talks and then share them over social media so you can access them at a later date. If you want to share your thoughts on anything you've heard today or on the We50 winners yesterday, please use the hashtag INWED24. Tag us. It's at WES1919 or at INWED1919. We'd love to get feedback on what you think's gone well and just celebrate International Women in Engineering Day, but most importantly, our We50 winners. So today we've got a number of great things as part of this webinar. We're really delighted to introduce our keynote, Dr. Nikita Hari, which I'll do so in a minute, who is going to keynote for us, and her talk is entitled Diverse Minds, Stronger Solutions, Engineering for All. So that's very exciting. We then have a piece on INWED history. So that is a really lovely piece that was pre-recorded a week or so ago between our heritage Helen Coase and the lovely Dawn Bonfield, who actually started INWED. And this, of course, is our 10th anniversary of INWED. So that's a really lovely piece to catch. And then finally, we have a panel session where 4 of our amazing We50 winners will be chatting to our head judge this year, Natalie Desty from STEM Returners. So again, another piece to look out for. We're really delighted to introduce our keynote, Dr. Nikita Hari, who is going to keynote for us.
Thank you very much. Susan, am I loud and clear?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Perfect. Very good afternoon, wonderful WES family. I'm Dr. Nikita Hari, and I'm delighted to be here with you all virtually. Thank you, Susan, the WES team, for your kind invitation and introduction. An absolute pleasure to be here. So let's embark on this celebrating the engineering rise of women together. Yesterday marked International Women in Engineering Day, a moment to proudly celebrate the achievement of women and girls who are leading and transforming our world through engineering. So despite harmful gender norms, stereotypes, and exclusion, we are breaking barriers and boundaries. Women engineers as engineering practitioners, entrepreneurs, innovators, and leaders, like many of you today and all of you on this panel and in the audience, are shaping a future that is relevant, hopeful, and better for all of us. So as the world renews its commitment to encouraging women to pursue their engineering dreams, we are amidst unprecedented challenges. Wars, pandemics, climate crisis, natural disasters, all these disproportionately affecting women. So these challenges obviously compel us to reflect on the past, where women's contributions to engineering and technology have been marginalized, reinforcing persistent underrepresentation. So this is exactly why conversations and celebrations like the one we are having with the Invent and like the one we are having today are vital. They not only recognize the women engineers shaping our world and celebrating through our wonderful top 50 women in engineers who have been acknowledged and recognized, and many congratulations to each one of them from me. Joined the club. So I was in the club from 2017, and I'm delighted that the club is getting bigger, bolder, and better. So as we are spotlighting the necessity of diverse minds in engineering for driving stronger solutions for a better world, I'm really pleased to celebrate our achievements, to recognize our challenges, and continue to forge a path towards an inclusive and innovative future. I appreciate this might be a diverse range of audience here in this e-gathering. So today I'll begin by sharing my engineering journey. See, every story is different, every journey is unique, and so I will start by reeling you in this electrical engineering life, crossing the world of teaching and technology, and putting into context how my environment, education, and expertise has helped me become the multifaceted engineer that I am today, and how I have enhanced the world a little around me through engineering, and how engineering has helped enhance and empower my own life. And over the next 20 minutes or so, I hope I and you, we will together also venture into how diverse minds can lead to stronger solutions from an individual lens, converging to engineering for all, and ultimately concluding with a reflection on the power and meaning of collective action and collaboration. So as we begin this journey, let me take a moment to encourage all of you in this e-room to please take a moment to look around you, to the clothes you wear, to the gadget you are listening or viewing me through to the movies you might have enjoyed or are enjoying, to the food we all eat. As you can see, engineering is at the heart of everything. It is everywhere, right? It brings ideas to life and turns dreams to reality. It shapes and runs the world. So let us all take a moment to be grateful to all the wonderful engineers, past and present, who make this magic of everyday life possible through engineering. Now, how did I find my way into this fascinating world of engineering? Rewinding back 20 years, I was a kid who loved science and social studies, making me at that juncture of time an anomaly of sorts, as I adored both understanding the nuances, let's say, of society and the mechanics of how things work. So as a kid, I always wanted to be an engineer, making the magic of electricity happen, which I definitely was because I was influenced growing up in an electrical manufacturing household. Now, teaching appealed to me from a very young age, came very naturally to me. I started teaching informally because I loved it, but never wanted to pursue it as a career. Now, growing up in a very traditional Indian family, my path was designed by those around me towards becoming the usual, if I dare say so, a homely material role. I have, in hindsight, I can say I resisted with all my might. So education was my escape. And despite strict constraints, I excelled, becoming college and university topper, after which I started my engineering practice as an R&D engineer in an electrical manufacturing medium to small scale industry. So in my mid-20s is when I could finally break free of the burden of expectations as a female placed on me. And I managed to get out of my state into a neighboring state to pursue a master's in power electronics. Now, that is something that, was huge for me then, to be even to be able to even have the freedom to step out of the confines of my home. So basically, it's my excellent track record in academia, my interest in teaching, and my aptitude in research that led me to then start my academic career at the National Institute of Technology. After my master's, I then had a small research stint at the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, which was followed by the decision to pursue a PhD. So I came to the United Kingdom, to University of Cambridge, along with a scholarship where I earned my PhD at the Department of Engineering, Cambridge, and discovered the accidental entrepreneur in me, co-founded two edtech startups, a Faculty for Future, Schlumberger Women in Science fellowship followed at the University of Oxford, leading to a role in engineering education innovation, helping build the UK's first industry-bridged university, the Dyson Institute of Engineering and Technology. I wanted to return back to traditional academic space, joining the mission of transforming the engineering education from the Centre for Engineering Education, University College London. After all of which, I am now back to Oxford as the head of teaching and design support group a few months ago. So as WES marks its 10th anniversary, I also reflect on my own 10-year journey in the UK, from a small town girl who had no access to tech or even basic stuff like emails until her mid-20s, to, due to my gender, to overcoming those conventions and stereotypes to define my dreams, my identity, and find my belonging in the world of engineering. I believe I've come a long way. So harmonizing my life, I would say, with the love for physics, maths, more so for making things, drove me into the world of engineering, education, and practice, specializing in power electronics. My passion for research and teaching led me to pursue a PhD. Now, overcoming all the institutional, systemic, and societal barriers, I think has been pivotal in helping me and encouraging me develop skills in advocacy, leadership, and communication, fueling my interest in entrepreneurship, policy, and societal impact. So as a woman in engineering, my experiences inspired me to mentor and pay forward for the next generation. Now, it's my gender, my neurodiversity, and my conventional background basically influencing many of the things that I have done and that I do and that I'll probably keep doing. So today, I would say I leverage my diverse experience and expertise to transform engineering education, basically combining research and innovation to shape pedagogy, policy, and practice through policies, products, and processes, all enhanced by engineering and enhancing engineering. So for me, my personal and professional journeys have been intertwined. My experiences and environment have forged my value system and engineering identity. Now, the ethos of engineering thinking drives everything I do and aspiring to do, hopefully making a meaningful impact on the world around me. So I would say converting my passion into a purpose as an engineering, the journey evolving from being an engineering student to practitioner, educator, researcher, entrepreneur, ambassador, and mentor. So allowing my career to evolve while I find and take my tribe along with me, having created that huge collaborative engineering landscape, I would say has been the most satisfying aspect of my engineering journey. And how I reflect how I have enhanced engineering and my own contributions to the space. Now, that is my personal engineering career spanning 2 decades, where, as you can see, diverse engineering career pathways converging to impact people, processes, policies, and products. Now, in this time of unprecedented change, to be successful in managing and finding solutions to the complex issues of today and tomorrow, from pandemics to climate change to engineering life at Mars, I'm sure we all can agree that transformative approaches are needed. However, to address the complex technical, societal, political, geographical, and environmental challenges, We also need to break down the conventional silos of working and operating, change the cultures and expectations of what is required from the people making these decisions, to be able to think outside the usual boxes, and to bring this broad range of diverse approaches and people together to best understand and provide solution to these challenges. Now, the power of engineering can only be realized if we can channel the power of diverse minds to build stronger and sustainable, inclusive solutions. I'm sure we all will and should agree that engineers are integral to society. To serve society, we need to understand the emotions, ethics, and essence of human design process. So in the age of artificial intelligence, it is imperative that we strive to be more human than ever. And hence, more the reason to advocate, to lobby for more diverse and equitable representation of voices and contributions to the field of engineering. See, there is no doubt that diversity drives innovation, fuels creativity, and undoubtedly would lead to stronger, more resilient, safe, inclusive, and sustainable solutions. But looking at the data, as you can see, and many of you in this room will already be aware, female engineers in the UK have increased from a tragic 8% way back in 2012 to almost 16.7% in 2022. But unfortunately, the 2024 Engineering UK data is showing a slow, steady decline, particularly in the age group of 35 to 44. So even in the 21st century, when we talk of engineering careers, it is really unfortunate that it is seen as a majorly male-dominated conversation. When we look up to women's success stories, it's all about smashing those glass ceilings, right? And we still have to talk about these things as shattering stereotypes, breaking into masculine labs and boardrooms of engineering. So after these centuries of entrenched exclusion and prejudice, it is indeed, I'm sure there is a recognition that workplaces have to become diverse and inclusive for humanity to progress, thrive, and even survive. So all these wonderful organizations such as the WES, Orange, IET, Engineering UK, STEMazing, STEM Returners, who you will hear from today. So all these organizations and people are working to change this from a structural and policy perspective. Now, as individuals, what can you and I do to navigate this? So let's take a step back and examine the broader landscape of women's issues in engineering. All these issues, whether it's our invisible, persistent barriers preventing women, especially women of color, let's see, from not just entering and retaining in the field of engineering, but also climbing the highest level of leaderships in the space. Having said that, we also need to acknowledge that diverse voices bring with us unique strength, like empathy, like resilience, like collaborative leadership. So recognizing these strengths and challenges at the same time are crucial. We must all work together to craft strategies to elevate women in their engineering careers and reshape the professional world to be more equitable and inclusive. So how do we move forward? By addressing these biases and opportunities that would help shape women's lives and opportunities in engineering. Only then we will be able to shatter all these barriers and create engineering environments where women and all of us can truly thrive. So how do we bridge this gap whilst championing for the strength we bring to the table? For this to happen, there needs to be intentional change through leadership, right? Now, I would like to emphasize that leadership is, what I mean here is not about titles. It's about influence. It's about impact and inspiring others. It's about leading with empathy, authenticity, and purpose, and inspiring others to believe in themselves and our shared vision. So once we have a collective, an individual understanding of what the sector is and what the challenges are and what our unique strengths are, we need to then be able to create a leadership structure that transcends titles and hierarchy, to be able to create a profound impact within one's own sphere, connecting with people, understanding their needs and challenges. So I would say there is more than ever a need to embody empathy, authenticity, and purpose-driven leadership, so that impactful leadership takes or shape up to be better, by wherein we can create a lasting positive impact on those around us, on our teams, organizations, and communities. Now, creating such lasting and meaningful change obviously will not happen alone. That necessitates our presence and participation in spaces where pivotal decisions are crafted. So it's not enough to merely be that individual voice or be even a bystander. We need to be able to actively engage and contribute to these vital discussions. So to forge change, we must be able to communicate, as many of the organizations and individuals are very passionately doing, with clarity and precision, and articulating our thoughts and ideas compellingly. Now, I would say more than ever, we need to step up, claim our seats at the engineering table. If there are no seats, bring the seats along, create the table if need be, and yield the power of our voice and influence, so that we engage productively with decision makers, contribute meaningfully to these conversations, and drive the change we wish to see. So I think that is a way we can break barriers, create opportunities, and foster a future where everyone's engineering voice is heard, valued, and so that we can make impactful and inclusive engineering decisions. Now, we all start with aspirations, but how do we bridge this gap between where we are now to where we want to be? So that obviously requires constant learning, seeking engineering mentors, and finding sponsors who are key and who will advocate for us in crucial engineering spaces. Now, the bridge between ambition and achievement isn't a lonely one. It's filled with support. You need to be, I think we all obviously need to be able to fill it with supporters who can guide, champion, and open doors for us. But also equally, just as we receive, we must also give back, pay forward, fostering a community of support and empowerment. As much as I would like to acknowledge that our ambition for diversity and inclusivity in engineering should be our engine, but to reach our destination, we need the right tools, guidance, people, and to be able to create such opportunities. So this is what bridging the diversity gap is all about. Is about navigation, it's about mentorship, it's about networking, it's about sponsorship. So finding your tribe, being able to create that bottom-up leadership, whether it be influencing or impacting. Now, to all those advocates, ambassadors, and lobbyists battling these everyday battles in the world of heavily marginalized engineering world, I would say we also need to be kind to ourselves and celebrate our little wins, because as much as I understand all that is required to be done, we all feel like most often as fighting a lonely battle. So while we work tirelessly to break these barriers, to navigate and create pathways for others, we must not forget the indispensable tools for empowerment that lies within ourselves, to never underestimate the power of self-care. So I think the biggest reminder that we need to keep telling ourselves is that we are our greatest asset, and nurturing our well-being in this turbulent space is key. And I would say any kind of empowerment and battle for diversity and inclusivity is multifaceted, and it almost always starts from within. So by investing in ourselves, by prioritizing self-care, we can then equip ourselves with the tools that we need to rise, lead, take along others, and empower others. So as we come closer to the end of my talk today, I would like to visualize the immense power we have when we all join forces. So impact is not just on an individual level. It's collective, it's transformative, and it's groundbreaking if we can do that. So when we support ourselves and those around us, each other, we become catalysts for change. Whether it's about pulling down the barriers, navigating the issues, challenging the status quo, and paving the way for future generation, we're not just participants, we're architects of a more equitable future. So I believe this is our time, and the future is definitely not set in stone. So it is waiting to be engineered by our hands, our ideas, our brains, but more so by our actions. And we need to embrace our power to lift each other up and together to create a legacy of positive change, innovation, and equality. So people, the future definitely is ours to engineer, and I think we need to engineer it to be extraordinary. As I wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought and call to action. See, every single individual in this room holds an incredible amount of power. Whatever be your level, be it your student or be it a leader with a title, you have the power to influence, to inspire, and to initiate and accelerate change. So let us all not underestimate the impact of our small actions. So for those young engineering minds set to embark on their exciting journey of education, work, career, and life, I would say remember that the boundaries of today are the starting points of tomorrow. So if you empower yourself with the knowledge and with the courage to explore, to question, and to dream, the future is not something that you would be entering. It would be something that you would be engineering and creating. And in this creation, you have the power to not just shape and engineer your own destiny, but also the future of the world. And for those already in this landscape, fighting the daily battles, I would say, thank you, and continue to be that mentor, to be that sponsor with the power to make a difference, to be the change. So let us all, at the end, remember that we stand on the shoulders of impressive contributions to women's engineering, be it engineering practice, engineering education, from all those who have walked before us. And we owe it to them to make the path bigger, better, and sustainable for our future generations. Initiatives like INVED and organizations who are in this space are all a great step in this direction. And I would like to wish all of you and thank you the best for your tremendous efforts in this direction. So in conclusion, to me, the 21st century women engineer embodies resilience, strength, and boundless potential. So by recognizing and embracing the diversity and complexity of diverse experiences, I believe we can all work together towards building and engineering a more inclusive, equitable, safe, and sustainable society for all of us. Now, to all the wonderful men and all other allies in this room, please continue to champion the rights and aspirations of all of us, standing together in solidarity as we engineer a better future for our generations. Thank you all for being here, for being part of this incredible community, and for being the 21st century engineer our world needs. Together, we engineers are unstoppable, and let us continue being so. Thank you very much. And
thank you, Dr. Hari. Can you hear me? I'm not obviously a bit nervous now about technology. So thank you so much for that. I mean, the comments in the chat are reflecting everything I thought around that. Very inspiring talk and insightful talk. I think we've got time for one quick question, but I know you've agreed to give us some more of your time to do an article in the Women Engineer Journal. So if anyone's interested in hearing a bit more about what Dr. Hari can build on in her talk, we're hoping to publish that article in the next edition. So thank you for that, Dr. Hari. You kind of have to do it now because I've announced it on the webinar. So I'd like to ask a question. You mentioned there the Engineering UK report around this shift in this unfortunate shift in the trend. And you sort of bring that round to the piece you talked about around empowering ourselves through self-care. And I wondered what you thought might be behind that shift. And in my head, I'm thinking the biggest context change in the recent years is COVID, and whether you think that's really where the material impact has been. Or if you've got other ideas, it'd be really good to hear your views on what you think has instigated that shift.
Thank you, Susan. So just putting into perspective your question. So you wanted me to comment on my thoughts as to why this slow but steady decline in that engineering work,
that's it, yeah,
might be happening. Yeah, so I think until last year we've all been proudly celebrating that doubling up from that ratio of 8 to 216 and seeing a lot of like positive reinforcement that is happening because of these numbers. Now, just to put the numbers into even though, we say a small and steady decline when we look at the percentages, but in numbers, it's more than 38,000 women who have decided to drop out. But I think considering that age group, obviously, that I just wanted to, at this point, also bring forward one of the key insight that I've drawn from the CEO of PepsiCo, where she mentioned that the biggest problem is that for women, the engineering career landscape or trajectory is completely opposite to a woman's biological trajectory, right? So when we decide to have families and children and so on and so forth is when the career also generally the trajectory also starts to move up. So I think that particular age group obviously shows to me the lack of policies, the institutional barriers, I suppose, in so many ways to be able to retain those women in the field. Because if you look at hardcore engineering where campus working and in place cultures are the norm, I think that is definitely one of the reasons. And also with COVID, as you mentioned, there's now greater flexibility in so many different workspaces to be able to get that required flexibility to have that work-life balance, as much as I agree that it's different for different people. So I think, Susan, in very short, just to put it succinctly, the age group obviously to me is a reflection that we are not engineering workforce is not, or institutions are not able to cater to retain those women or to give them a flexible workspace wherein they can operate from.
Yeah, I think that's certainly something in that, isn't there? It's not a coincidence, as you say. Something to explore in the coming weeks, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think Engineering UK have come out with their data, but I've not been able to look into understanding more into why this is happening, and probably what are the different what's the history of these age group data in the first place as well.
That's it. Well, thank you so much for an amazing talk. I can see from the chat that other people have just found it really interesting. So thank you so much. And we look forward to reading a little bit more about your work in the Women Engineer Journal. Thank you, Dr. Hari.
Thank you very much, Susan. Thank you, everyone, for being a wonderful audience and for all your thoughtful and positive comments. I wish you all a great engineering career and a great time continuing to contribute to this wonderful landscape. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we move on to a very special item that I'm really excited about for the INWED 24 webinar. Earlier this month, as I mentioned before, our Heritage Officer, Helen Close, recorded a fireside chat with former WES President and founder of INWED, Dawn Bonfield, to find out a bit more about how she came up with the idea and what she thinks we've achieved through it in this, our 10th anniversary year. This video will be uploaded to the WES YouTube channel, so you can watch it again at a later date. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Dawn Bonfield on behalf of WES for her amazing legacy.
Thank you, Susan, for that introduction. And welcome to INWED 2024. I'm really excited about today. We've got something really special for you. I'm Helen Close. I am the Heritage Manager for the Women's Engineering Society. And not only are we celebrating our 105th anniversary today, or yesterday, but we're celebrating today. I am joined today by Dawn Bonfield, who was president at the time that the International Women's Engineering Day was set up. So, Dawn, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome. It's very nice to be here.
Thank you.
In fact, I wasn't president at the time of INWED. I was president, I think, later on that year, but at this time of year, 10 years ago, I wasn't quite president yet. So,
okay, well, thank you. Oh, thank you for correcting me on that, Dawn. But obviously, you have been involved with WES for a long time and supporting girls and women in engineering. Can you tell us a little bit about what got you involved into the sector and how you came to be involved in the Women's Engineering Society?
Well, my background is as a materials engineer. So I started out my professional life in aerospace composite materials. I was at Citroën, the car company, and then British Aerospace, and then moved when I got married to Stevenage, where British Aerospace became MBDA, where it's still MBDA. And then when I had a family, I sort of came out of work in engineering proper, and I started to work I started to do some volunteering work, actually. Now, I was looking for some local volunteering work, and because I lived down the road from Stevenage, I contacted the IET, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, who have their headquarters at Stevenage. And they said they didn't have anything that I could volunteer to do for them. They had WES based at their offices in Stevenage, and they thought that WES would need more support than they did. So I started to volunteer with WES. But I have to say that before that, I hadn't really come across the Women's Engineering Society. So, yeah, I've gone through all of my engineering life, I suppose, without knowing that there was a Women's Engineering Society.
That's very interesting, I think, because I was in a similar position. I'm from a family of engineers, and I'd never heard of the Women's Engineering Society until I got this job. So it's interesting that when you're in the sector, you might not have actually, particularly back then, you might not have actually known about it. So
I think you're right. I think that is back then. I think you'd struggle not to know that, well, either WES or organisations like WES exist today, because I think our awareness of equality in engineering is much greater than it was back then. And when I looked back at an old photograph of when I started work at British Aerospace, and I was the only woman in that cohort of engineers of probably 15 graduate starters. Yeah. And I wouldn't have been able to tell you that I was the only woman there in that group. It had not occurred to me, I think. But I think today it would occur to us much more. So I think, yeah, the Women's Engineering Society and groups like ours have come a long way in raising the profile. And that's just culture change, I think, generally across the UK and across the world.
Okay. Can you explain the idea of INWED and how it came about and what was the thinking behind it? And how did you expect that first year to go and how did it go?
It came about because we were looking, it was the 95th anniversary in that year of WES, and I worked in the office. I was the only one that worked actually in the office sort of full time at WES as a volunteer at the time, but I was looking for some way of celebrating that 95th year. And I had noticed that in the March time, during International Women's Day, I think it was I think it was Engineers Without Borders who'd done a big piece around their women engineers. And I thought, wow, this is really good. It would be really good if we had our own day as women engineers. And I thought, well, it would be a shame if we had to sort of hijack International Women's Day every year with like an engineering overlay. And so it's just seemed like a good thing to do on that day that was coming up, the 23rd of June, which obviously is our centenary date. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go. And Wes was at IET at the time, so the IET were very helpful, probably slightly unbeknown to them how helpful they were expected to be, but they allowed us, they allowed us to send out all of these packets of resources to schools, and we sent them, I think, to nearly every secondary school in the country. Back then, we didn't have a download, so we had a pack of information that had the day and a press release and a little card, USB stick that had a rolling presentation of women engineers that we sent to them all. And it was a huge operation of getting these packs together, and every night sort of 30 packs went into the post for their franking machine, and it did have a little label on saying supported by the IET, so that was great. And they actually were real enablers. But the hardest thing, I think, in the first year was to get people to realise that they had ownership of the day themselves, and it wasn't our day. And just like International Women's Day, we all celebrate it. We all feel that ownership of it being our day. So that was really hard because people were very keen to say, yeah, we really think it's a great idea and we'll help you out. And I was like, don't help us out. Just do your own thing. And we did have our own event as well. But the key thing was to give it away, really, and give the resources away and give the branding of it away. And I think its success lay in the fact that we didn't need to take the ownership of it ourselves, and we could distribute that shared ownership, and it has just taken off. And the best thing today is when somebody says, oh, did you know it was in WED next week? And I say, oh yeah, I did. Yeah, thanks, I knew that, without them thinking, oh well, it belongs to somebody. So
yes, and there's certainly lots and lots of events go on every year now. This is the 10th year of doing InWed, and last year our potential reach was 782 million, with more than 389,000 social media impressions, and over 700 attendees attended the webinar. It's clearly being very, very successful, and let's see later on today how we do this year. How do you feel about the success, Dawn? Do you feel we're making a difference to the numbers of women in engineering?
I think the success has been phenomenal, actually. I mean, I know we have our own stats of the things that we record, but I see it being, I'm involved very heavily in the World Federation of Engineering Organisations, and I see it being celebrated right around the world. And those people who celebrate it would not know to register with WES. They probably don't necessarily even know of the existence of WES. So they don't, there's so many more things that happen on the day than we can register ourselves. So I think it has been hugely successful, and it's given us a real platform for talking about the things that we do, for launching new things, for celebrating women engineers, and just raising our profile and our confidence and our voice as women in engineering. And I think now, it is much more mainstream that we have that voice and we use that voice. The day itself is one day in the year, and it's never going to change a huge amount of things one day. And I've got a graph actually that I show of things that you can do to increase diversity in engineering. things that you can do to increase inclusion in engineering, and then the scale increases with impact, the amount of impact that you will have. And INWED is probably kind of like low on both of those scales. Nevertheless, it does give you that that focus year on year for you to then draw those things that you maybe do that don't necessarily always get the visibility that they could do, that are maybe more impactful. You know, if you have some real program that is creating change, or you're spending money in, you know, the right places, then INWED gives you the opportunity of saying that, you know, telling people that's what you're doing, and showing other people that this is, you know, your contribution. And so I think on its own, the day is a day that we really enjoy and we celebrate. But the value of it, I think, is in the other things it promotes, the voice that it enables us to have, and I think that's where the value is. But you know, we can't kid ourselves that we are massively increasing diversity in engineering, because the stats don't bear that out. You know, we don't see, okay, we see some shift in the last 10 years, but it's certainly incremental, and it's not that step change in increasing in numbers, in percentage wise. And in fact, you know, this last year with the last Engineering UK report, it looks like we've plateaued at best, and, you know, slightly decreased at worst. That's quite they can be sometimes misleading, those data, really, because if you look in different areas, we have seen big improvements in certain areas of engineering and no improvements in other areas. But I think we have much more women now working in the environmental sectors and in the areas which are addressing climate change and the planetary biodiversity problems that we have now. And I think that's a real success story and a positive news story. So we need more, though. You know, it's not enough what we're doing. We need to do more, I think.
Which kind of leads me on to my next question. What more do you feel needs to be done, and how do we go about that? It's a big question, that one.
Yeah. I think what we're all doing is the sort of grassroots response to the problem, and we do a lot. You know, women engineers themselves and our allies do a lot ourselves to try to encourage more young girls into engineering, and more people to join engineering later in their career. But I think we need more systemic change on different fronts, actually. You know, we don't have enough young girls coming into engineering, and there are, in my opinion, reasons for that. I think one thing that we could easily do that would change things, in my opinion, is to have better careers advice. And I do quite a lot of outreach, and I know that engineering isn't really the default choice of career for girls, young girls. That's because of family sort of lack of capital in science or engineering capital in the family, and also because careers advisors don't necessarily see it as a career for young girls. And we as an industry don't help ourselves either, because we do a lot of inspirational events, knowing that is the case. So we will go into schools a lot, and there are a huge number of those things that we do to inspire young people. But we don't capitalize on that inspiration by converting them into real help when they come to want to choose their careers. So for me, I would have us set up a one-stop shop for careers, so that people who want to know how to actually get into engineering, once they have been inspired, find it much easier. And I see the impact of us not having that clearly, because engineering is a very broad subject area, and it's very difficult to help people into the right part of engineering that suits their interests. And even I've been involved in engineering a long time, but I'm a materials engineer, and I would find it very difficult to try and explain to someone what a process engineer might do, or a different type of engineer might do. So yeah, we need to help people there. But the other kind of structural thing that I think needs to be looked at are the pathways from double and triple science, because I think we don't have a clear pathway for the 3/4 of young people who take double science as opposed to the single sciences at GCSE level. And I think those people struggle to do an A level in the science, the individual science, and so they struggle then to find a pathway into engineering. We could help with that, I think. And I think, personally, I feel like we could have a general science A level that would increase that pathway from double science through to A level science and then through into engineering. But yeah, I think there's some structural things to do for that pathway in from, young people, but also from the side in terms of people changing careers and being able to find their way into engineering through kind of tried and tested pathways is another area we could help with. And then, of course, retention. That's a big area, and we are losing people, a lot of people. And we have so few women who are qualified, professionally qualified and registered as engineers. And we're losing, 80% of them by the time they get to their 40s and 50s, and we just cannot afford to do that. So in terms of the culture of engineering itself, some changes are needed there.
Yeah, lots of the food for thought there, Dawn. Thank you very much for that. That's very, very interesting. Now, I've also got some exciting news that was announced in the Women Engineer Journal, the last edition, but it might have got missed, and that is that WES has been successful in obtaining funding from the Royal Academy of Engineering for the Ingenious Fund. We're going to be delivering a project called What's in the Home, Electric Dreams 2024. Now, that project will focus on the Electrical Association for Women, which was set up by a subgroup, I suppose you could call it, of WES in 1924 to promote electricity in the home and the role that women played in that. So we're looking for a team of 24 women engineers to work with us on this project. Now, it's going to be about community engagement and looking at the past to inform the future. And we're going to be working with 6 visitor attractions across the UK in different locations to engage the public using theatrical skills, exhibition space, and hands-on workshops. So if this sounds like something that you as an engineer would like to get involved in, please contact us at WES, me specifically. So that's helen.close@wes.org.uk, and we can see how we can work together. This project will concentrate on the development of electricity as a domestic commodity. But that's very relevant today. And Dawn, as you've already alluded to, the role that women will need to play to get to net zero and the need for women to be involved. Dawn, what would you like to say about this? Do you think women are involved enough in the decision making that's going on about these issues? And how important is it that women get involved in this? And what else can we do to get our voices heard?
Well, yeah, congratulations to you, Helen, for putting in such a successful bid, because it's never easy to get one of the Ingenious grants from the Royal Academy of Engineering. And this is a really good example of doing some community outreach work and bringing in a different group of people to try and get the message across. And that's, in fact, exactly what the Electrical Association for Women did. And I'm also involved, as you know, Helen, in this group of us who are this small group of volunteers working on the Electric Dreams project to celebrate the centenary of their formation this year. And they are such a fascinating organisation because they really did, and they really do speak to the theme of INWED this year, which is about engineering enhancing the lives of women, because they really converted the kind of technical story of electricity to women in the home and made sure that women understood at that point how they could use electricity to escape the drudgery of everyday tasks. Now, of course, we're updating that conversation to see what the conversation looks like today, and it's obviously very different, and it's about how we use electricity smartly and what the future choices are for renewable energy and for our decisions. And women are very important in their role as gatekeepers of lots of the decisions that we take in the home, to do with purchasing electric vehicles, to do with choosing who we get our energy supplied by in terms of food that we buy and use or waste. All sorts of these decisions are influenced very strongly by women. Not only women, of course, but women do have a key role here. So we are really looking at how we update. So we're looking at the history of the Electrical Association and the great social impact they had on the lives of women, not women engineers, but women, in helping them to enter the workforce because they didn't have to spend so much time on the sort of manual labour. And now looking at what that story looks like today and how we are encouraging women to understand more about their electricity choices, but also understand that they have a role in these engineering sectors and the renewable energy sector as well. So it's a great opportunity. And of course, the Electrical Association for Women doesn't exist in the UK any longer, but it does in Trinidad and Tobago, one of my Commonwealth Engineers Council partners. But we are using that centenary of their formation to our advantage, and it's a great set of great program that we have to celebrate. And we've got events on, as you say, Helen. You've got the What's in the Home theatre production, but we've got events during November. But we've also been using the whole year actually to tell the story. Through WES, through the IUT. We've had lots of talks and outreach activities, but September, October, November time later this year is when we're doing the majority of the work, and we've got a conference in London on the 12th of November, sponsored by the IET. We've got an event in Newcastle at the Common Room where we've got another theatre production actually, which is a small sort of version of the first Electrical Association for Women meeting. Events in Bristol. In fact, we've got a whole month of exhibition in Bristol based around the all-electric house there, which is taking place at the Stradling Collection. So that should be really interesting. But something else in Monmouth, looking at one of our women there, Lady Shelley Rolls, Ellen Shelley Rolls. So we've got stuff going on all over.
Yeah,
it's a great project to be involved in.
Thank you. And also, WES is involved once again with the Heritage Open Days in September, and that's going to be concentrating on the Electrical Association for Women as well. Dawn, you and I can't actually be there in person at the webinar on today because not only is it the 105th anniversary of WES, but it would also have been the 135th birthday of Verena Holmes, who was one of our past presidents, practicing engineer, and she was very, very involved in WES. And this afternoon, you and I are actually going to be going to what was Verena's birthplace, which is Highworth House, which is now part of the grammar school down there. And they are going to be unveiling their new building, and we're going to be taking part in those proceedings. And the school hope to get a blue plaque for her. I know you're very involved in trying to get women engineers achievements recognised, and we're always looking for support from our members to be able to make that happen. How and why do you feel this is so important? Not just about the blue plaques, but also the naming of the buildings and the road names to be named after women engineers.
Yeah, I think it's really important because it's that link to people in the community, isn't it? The lay person who then it starts to become normalised that women are engineers, and young people start to think, there's a woman engineer, so marked on that building. And I think, these ideas seep into our subconsciousness when we see them. And so I think it's that they are actually really visible, the blue plaques. And lots of people do see them and sort of walk past them and notice them. So Yeah, this year they're very hard to get though. Actually, they certainly in London they take a long time. We're trying to get one for Rachel Parsons in London, and it's been in the system for probably 4 years because I put it in during COVID, and I remember sitting during COVID doing the research, and so still waiting for that. But hopefully that will be successful this year. But in the meantime, we've created these virtual blue plaques because not everybody actually walks past a blue plaque, and sometimes they are slightly hidden away and you wouldn't get people to see them. So we've got these, I think there are 13 of them, 12 or 13 now, that are on the website. They're on the Magnificent Women website, and we're trying one by one to get them converted into real blue plaques. But in November, we've got a sort of guerrilla campaign where we're trying to get them stuck onto building, like plastic. I don't know if you can see my 26 poster here, but something, that's like sticky and can stick on the walls, with the hope that we will then try and convert them. We have Verena Holmes, as you say, is one that is now in the system. Laura Annie Wilson is one that we also have had approval for. Name Maple, in fact, we have got the building approval and the blue plaque in production, so that should go on the wall of a house in Gateshead anytime soon. And we've got a number of our members who are sort of championing these blue plaques. But if you're listening to this and you think that you are interested in championing one of these blue plaques and getting them converted, because it's often, it's in general it's local people who can do the legwork to get these blue plaques authorised, if you like, and erected. So it's very difficult if you're not local. So you do need that kind of local engagement. But please do get involved if you're interested in this, and you think there's one of the women is in your local area and you can help establish an actual blue plaque for them.
Definitely. And as you say, it's so important it's almost like being drip fed, that it's acceptable for women to be engineers by having these names. And what I forgot to add was that this time last year, Verena had a train named after her. So we're getting there, and there are other naming events coming up in the future as well that we're quite excited about. Time's running out for us now, Dawn. It's been lovely to chat to you, and I know that you have been an inspiration to many women engineers and WES members over the years. On behalf of WES and InWed, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Helen. Thank you very much, and everyone watching, have a great day, and do celebrate being a woman engineer or being an ally.
Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you to Helen and Dawn for a lovely, lovely piece there. And I'd just like to reiterate, we are very grateful to Dawn Bonfield for the legacy and the continued work that she does for WES. So now we've got a lovely piece involving our We50 head judge and 4 of our amazing winners. So renewed congratulations to the 4 winners. But I'll let our head judge, Natalie Desty, introduce them to you now. But looking forward to the panel session. Thanks, Natalie.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction. So yes, I'm Natalie Desty and the founder of an organisation called STEM Returners, and we return STEM professionals after a career break. I'm delighted to be chairing this session today with 4 amazing women. I was really honoured to be a judge at this year's WES Top 50 Women in Engineering and was genuinely blown away by all of the entries. It made it really, really hard work to choose the top 50. There was so much innovation, expertise and inspiration that we don't hear enough about. And today we are changing that. Having heard from some wonderful speakers already, I'm really excited to hear from 4 of those top 50 winners. So I'm delighted to introduce you to Dr. Rebecca Wade, Jacqueline Stevens, Kim Everett, and Nabaha Ghafoor to speak to us today. I'm going to invite all the speakers to tell us a little bit about themselves and their career. After that, I've got a few questions for the panel, but also would love to get any questions from our audience, so please feel free to add them to the chat. So can we start with Dr. Rebecca Wade? Could you tell us, Rebecca, a little bit about your career to date?
Well, thank you very much, Natalie, and welcome and congratulations to my fellow We50 winners who are on the screen, and also to all of the other winners who've been named over the last day or so. I'd like to congratulate them all, but I'd also like to congratulate everybody who nominated and encouraged people to nominate themselves. Just following on from what both Dawn and what Dr. Harry were saying, I think trying to raise visibility and to raise each other up is so important. So let's all make a commitment to do that some more. Now, my background is actually not in engineering. I work predominantly with civil engineers, and I have done for more than 20 years, but I started out in geography and environmental science. And when I found myself working in an engineering department, I kind of had to make a decision to make myself into an engineer or make my skills useful to engineers. And that was the route that I took. So for more than 20 years, I've been working with sustainable water management, particularly in urban areas. And I've been privileged to be able to do that work both in Scotland, where I'm based at Abertay University. So I'm a senior lecturer in environmental science at Abertay University in Dundee in Scotland. And to be able to do that also across some parts of South America, the Mediterranean, in the USA. Earlier on in my career, I worked in the United States. And so having that experience of thinking about different climatic conditions, different cultural conditions, and different challenges, and really trying every time to bring multiple benefits to the solutions that we come up against. So again, huge resonance with what the previous speakers have been saying about the importance of collaboration and hearing all the voices in order to be able to come up with the best solutions. Yeah, so I'm really privileged to be recognised as a We50 engineer, because I feel like I didn't start out in engineering, and it's lovely to be welcomed into the world of engineering and to be celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you being with us today. Thank you. And Jacqueline?
Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. It's absolutely an honour. So I will just start by saying I'm similar to Rebecca in terms of not starting out in engineering. So I did a sort of research paper when I started university, and I noticed that there was a gap. Therefore, I studied a master's in subsea engineering with hope to somehow be a part of the solution. So currently by trade, I'm a project controls engineer. And I'm also a global future energy leader with the World Energy Council. So the World Energy Council is a United Nations governed energy body. And what I do is help with different research and solutions towards cleaner sort of net zero just transition to 2050. And part of the project I was involved in is the getting clean cooking solutions to sub-Saharan Africa. So it's a real passion to be part of this transition, helping climate change, but also making sure that it's done in a just way. But thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. Thank you for telling us about your experience. That's amazing. And have we got Kim with us?
Hi, yeah, I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, we can.
Oh, awesome. No, it's fantastic to be here, and it's amazing to see everyone build each other up and talk about the We50 Awards. So my background is predominantly automotive. I studied automotive engineering with Motorsport at university. It sounds a lot more glamorous. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of getting involved, and I applied for placements as much as possible during my time at university, and I really believe that made the difference and accelerated me into the world of automotive when I left. During university as well, I'd get involved with almost everything that I could find. So I started women's networks, joined automotive engineering teams such as the Shell Eco Marathon and Formula Student, which people may be familiar with. Since then, since graduation, it's quite a few years ago now, but I've been working with either sports cars in the luxury car sector to more sustainable options such as fuel cell electric vehicles, more specifically bin lorries. So it's a big variation there, and it does really continue to inspire me. Got a less hands-on approach now. Now I'm more supporting startups and another more sustainable operations and looking how they can accelerate their technologies. So bringing everything together that I've learned to hopefully make some impact. So yeah, that's me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And we have Nabaha.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm Nabiha. I've also got a background in engineering. I actually studied biomedical engineering at university. And then when I started working, I left the biomedical sort of area and went into work at Arup, which is an engineering firm that focuses on the built environment. And I have been working in their technical team. So we often consult on other sort of bigger projects as like a more specialist computational modeling team. And a lot of my work has been in environmental physics and microclimate, and more recently urban heat. So yeah, my current area of work is urban heat island modeling, looking at cities and the impact that the design and behavior of cities impacts the thermal comfort, particularly during heat waves, and carrying out modeling for that and looking at solutions that we can find to make cities more comfortable all year round. That's my current sort of work area within Arup, but have had also a lot of experience working on different things, rail and buildings and other kinds of infrastructure as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And just those 4 stories, you know, and career journeys just show us how diverse engineering can be. So thank you all. We've got a really fantastic array of careers and experience there to talk about. Now, I'd love to get some questions from the audience. So it's not just me asking the question to our panel. So if anyone wants to ask any questions, please add them in the chat and we will pick those up. But if I get us started off, and Naba, if I can ask you this question as you're on my screen, what does winning the WE50 award, what does that mean to you?
It's a huge honor. That's really, I'm really proud of. I've been admiring in the past years some of my colleagues and also other women who have been listed on the WE50. So to be put amongst them is like something I'm so proud of. It's also a testament to the impact that, you know, women can make in engineering. And I never thought even when I started studying engineering that I'd be able to make sort of the impact that I've been able to make in the field of engineering and in the projects that I've been able to work on. So yeah, very proud and very exciting.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And congratulations again. Very, very well deserved. Okay, if I can move a question over to Kim. You can have Kim back.
Yeah.
Hello. So I'm interested, Kim, in why you chose engineering career, and was it something that you were always going to go into, or did you kind of, you know, fall into engineering, and also what are you most kind of proud of so far?
Yeah, so I don't think it was always going to be it wasn't my first thought. My first thought was something to do with the performing arts and singing and dancing and just having a great time. That was my initial thought. But soon, as exams were coming at school and throughout college, reality kind of hits you, and or it did me, and I just started considering, well, what were my options? There was a lot of doubt around me, a lot of questions of whether I had the ability to be an engineer anyway. So I think really those doubts just kind of accelerated me and just added fuel to my determination, because actually I want to be able to do whatever I can do, or whatever I believe myself to do. I want to be able to achieve it at 18 years old. So I had a look around, and with the reality in mind, with my grades being not concrete at that time, I scrapped all of my conditional offers from universities that I had about 5 at the time. And I just went for this one extra course, which was extended engineering degree, which was a sandwich course as well with a placement year. But it meant that I had then that foundation year and that solid year to really get to that ability, get confident, understand mechanics, and actually start my first year feeling so confident that I'll just smash through it. Being able to talk about it now in hindsight, it worked, and I was able to do that confidently. But the real kind of moment of where I had to decide exactly what I had to do was after that foundation year, because it was a generalized engineering course, which then went into either automotive, aerospace, space technology, as well as mechatronics. So it was amazing to have those options provided by the University of Hertfordshire. But again, that was another occasion where I had to think, oh gosh, right, I need to specialize. I need to determine what I wanted to do. So I really leaned on my interests, and I was watching F1. My head would always turn at a nice car. So I thought, you know what, automotive with motorsport, I can't go wrong starting off with something that I like. And it grew. And as I started in that world, I just wanted to immerse myself in it more and more each day. So I hope that kind of explains a bit of the journey there.
It does, absolutely. Thank you. I always find it really interesting how people have found out about engineering. You know, sometimes it's parents were engineer or they were influenced, you know, early by those around them. But you know, really interested in how people have found it. Because I think, you know, we talk a lot, don't we, about promoting STEM within schools, and there's lots of really good stuff going on now. But I still speak to a lot of people who don't think of it as a career. So no, great to hear your story. Thank you. So if I can go to Nabaha, because I think we're losing Nabaha shortly. If you're still there, huh?
Yeah, sorry. I will have to drop shortly, but I can probably answer one more question.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a short one. So what are you working on next? What's next for you?
Well, we're still within Arup. We've been developing this tool to automate the calculation of evaluating urban heat islands. So our next step is to really implement the tool and put in place mitigations in cities that we're working on, and then measure the outcomes that we're seeing from those. So yeah, I want to be able to, you know, see the cooling impact of some of the nature-based solutions that we're looking at implementing, and some of the low-cost innovations that we're also looking at, and how they can actually make a real difference in cities in real life.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you again for joining us today. Really appreciate it. So Jacqueline, if Jacqueline is available, I'd love to ask you a final question, if that's okay.
Yep.
Hello. Thank you. So obviously our theme for this year, We50, is engineering enhancement. So what would your top tips be for women engineers who want to lead the way in engineering enhancement?
Okay, great. So I'll just start by saying part of a big passion for me in the energy sector is humanizing energy. So I think making it practical to improving lives. So I would advise, in terms of a tip, whatever area you are in, whether that's a structural engineer or, you know, electrical, etc., just seeing how you can transfer what you do to improve people's lives, or to improve a way of doing things. Another top tip I would give is continuous improvement, and understanding that this is a journey and you're not necessarily going to know all the answers immediately. And I would just quickly end by saying mentorship is so important, and being able to also pay it forward to other people. It's been a long journey, and if I hadn't had people that had been previous winners I'd looked up to, I probably wouldn't have seen myself doing that. So you want to also give the other opportunity to other people coming behind you as well, whether that's, you know, young women and girls as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, so important, is it? And I was really interested / concerned to see, you know, recent reports suggesting that we are losing more women in that 35 to 44 age bracket. It's a very positive conversation today with inspirational people and their careers in engineering. But this is a question for everyone. You know, has anyone found it difficult? Has anyone kind of, you know, found it particularly challenging? Had to really show resilience to kind of stay within the sector? And if so, how have you overcome that? And what advice would you have for other female engineers who possibly are looking at being part of that percentage that is looking to leave the industry?
I can go first.
As you're, yeah.
So I would just say, during my experience, I have found it a bit difficult to move from one sort of, don't know if I should call it grade, one level to the next. I think part of the reason is the lack of exposure to like a clear career pathway within organizations, and being able to obtain leadership development skills. So one of the things and advice that I would give is, if you're looking to pivot into more senior positions, I know there's charterships, but think of what other things that you may need, like soft skills or commercial awareness, to make you more competitive as a technical engineer, but also looking at from the lens of management and leadership.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. Did anybody else want to answer?
I think Kim and I both unmuted ourselves.
Excellent.
Yeah, I don't mind. So I definitely resonate with that. I considered a career in marketing not too long ago, just because I really enjoy some of those aspects and seeing some of the inspiring creative ideas that pop up online. And the thing that helped retain me was actually me exploring what appealed to me in marketing and how I could fulfill my spare time with those interests, but also how I can. So that was a distraction pretty much to my current role, but also then it freed up my mind to then think, okay, so what is it about the role that I'm not liking? What do I like? And actually, is it more of a reason to find something that appeals to me more than the current situation that I'm in now, rather than leave the industry altogether? Why give up? I've came so far. So just keep going. And I am delighted that I stayed in engineering, and the new role that I started this year is so refreshing. It was definitely the right move. So I would definitely encourage that.
Thank you so much. And as a We50 winner, you absolutely have to stay now.
I don't know if we've got time for me to add a few thoughts, but
we do. Please do.
I've been in the same organisation for more than 20 years. So on the outside, it might look like I've had quite a stable trajectory, but as all of us know, who've been with any organisation for any length of time, it's not always smooth running. And I've had a few points when things haven't been stable, and I've had cause for reflection and to doubt the current trajectory that I was on. And I would say that in those moments, the things that really helped me out were the external professional networks that I was a member of. So, and those times include maybe going through, COVID and coronavirus, and we're all very isolated, at least in terms of our physical geography. And I think that the Women's Engineering Society Climate Emergency Group was hugely supportive for me during that time, and gave me a lot of encouragement and mentorship, just informal mentorship, which was amazing, and allowed us to work together on something that had value, personal and professional value for all of us, even though it wasn't within my organisation directly. So we were doing sustainable development goals and climate change awareness webinars all through that period when COP26 was co-hosted by the UK, and working with those women, one of whom's now the president of the Institution of Civil Engineers, and Shah. It was just a tremendous engagement, and it was really uplifting and very encouraging to think that I was part of something bigger and outside of my organisation that really it really dovetailed with my personal and professional kind of values. Another thing was being part of an international Women in STEM leadership programme. So last November, I went to Antarctica with a ship full of women in STEM from all over the world. And we should have gone in 2020, but COVID disrupted everything. Thankfully, we were able to go. But it was that external and global network of women who collectively supported each other through all sorts of trials and tribulations, personal, professional, COVID related, that really helped me to keep the faith in terms of what I was doing and why I was doing it, and helped me with strategic and personal skills to evaluate the things that were important to me. And through understanding my values and being able to link my strategy with my organization's strategy and figure out where the common points were, those were the rocky roads that were kind of smoothed a bit by those external professional women's organizations. And I can't thank them enough for the support that I personally got. And I hope that I was able to give some support back. So those have been really important points for me. And yeah, find your values.
understand what's important to you, and then figure out, does it match with where you're at? And if not, then yeah, you should look someplace else. But if you can figure out some points of common interest, then those are the things to really stick to and to move forward if you can.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was brilliant. So I want to thank all of you so much for taking the time today to join us and talk about your experiences as engineers. I'm really inspired. I know the audience will be too. Congratulations again on being recognised as part of this year's WES Top 50. Hearing from you all, it's not at all hard to see why you made the shortlist. Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone for joining.
Well, thank you, Natalie, Kim and Rebecca, Nabiha and Jacqueline. Kim, I think there's something for you there in Helen's Ingenious project that sort of melds engineering and theatre arts, I think. So maybe get in touch with Helen there. But thank you also to Natalie for the work you do in STEM Returners. There's obviously much to do there. So we look forward to working with you in the coming weeks. Thank you again and congrats to our We50 winners, those 4 we've just heard from, and the remaining 46. We look forward to the ceremony that we've got this afternoon with the team. So that brings the INWED 24 webinar to a close. Please do share any insights, comments, questions on social media using hashtag INWED24 and tagging @WES1919 or @INWED1919. It's been brilliant. Renewed thanks to all our speakers and for the team behind the scenes for putting this webinar on. Thanks everybody, and enjoy the rest of Monday.